Before my message, I'd like to read a passage from the Amida Sutra. Let us put our hands together in Gassho. There are lotus flowers as large as chariot wheels grow in the pools. Those of blue color emit blue radiance. Those of yellow color emit yellow radiance. Those of red color emit red radiance. And those of white color emit white radiance. They are exquisite, wonderful, fragrant, and pure. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us in this Hawaii Wet'suwing Sunday service. Today, I'd like to talk about lotus blooms in the mat. The lotus flowers are often used as a metaphor of the Buddha's enlightenment. For example, please look at this altar. In the center of the altar, Namo Amida Butsu is written on the lotus flower. I think that many of you have a family altar or Butsudam at your home. The Buddha at your Butsudam is standing at the stage of lotus flower. In this way, the lotus flowers are the symbol of Buddhism. Shinran Shonin, the founder of Shin Buddhism, states, the lotus does not grow in the dry area, but in the muddy ponds. This is an analogy meaning that the flower of the enlightenment blooms in the mud of our blind passions. We all have the blind passions. They are greed, anger, and ignorance of the truth in this world. In our daily lives, we often say, I want this, or I want that. If we can get the things that we wished for, we think we will be satisfied. But our satisfaction is temporary. Soon, we will want other things that we do not get. We sometimes want to get the things even others possess. That is, our greed is limitless. If someone prevents us from getting the things that we want, we will get angry. When I was a child, I went to the ice cream shop with my family. At the shop, there are many kinds of ice cream. I have an older brother named Kengo. Kengo and I ordered a different flavor ice cream. After our ice cream was brought, we ate it. And I said, yummy. However, when seeing Kengo's ice cream, I felt that his ice cream looked more delicious than mine. So I said, I want to eat Kengo's ice cream. I want to eat Kengo's ice cream. My parents told me, Shingo, you already ate a lot of ice cream. That's enough. If I try to eat Kengo's ice cream and he said, no, I would get angry and I might fight with him. That is, our greed and anger will trigger the fights. The biggest fight is called the wars. In human history, there are countless wars. It means that we tend to be controlled by our greed and anger. Also, we tend to be ignorant of the truth in this world. And it's extremely difficult for us to see everything just as they are. Buddhism tells us that our blind passions are the cause of our sufferings, and they are often compared to the mat. Unfortunately, it's extremely difficult for us to cut them off. So we are always living in mud of the blind passions. On the other hand, the Buddha Dharma is often compared to the lotus flowers because the beautiful flowers bloom in the dirty mud. Before Shinran Shonin, most Buddhists thought that if they would like to be the Buddhas or awakened ones, they would have to cut off their blind passions. However, Shinran Shonin reveals that Amida Buddha vowed to let us all be the Buddhas, even though we cannot cut off the blind passions. The Buddha's compassion is always working for us to let the lotus flower of the enlightenment bloom into the mud of our blind passions. In other words, Amida always works to let us be Buddhas, even though we have the blind passions. Of course, even if we are the main concern of Amida Buddha's compassion, we should not be careless about our blind passions. We must try our best not to be controlled by them. And it's very important for us to know about ourselves, but we are living with the mud of the blind passions through listening to the Buddha Dharma. The people who know that they have the blind passions can try their best not to be controlled by them. At the beginning of this message, as a passage of the Amida Sutra. In the passage, the lotus flowers in Amida Buddha's Pure Land are described. Let me read it again. There are lotus flowers as large as chariot wheels, grow in the pools. Those of blue color emit blue radiance. Those of yellow color emit yellow radiance. Those of red color emit red radiance. And those of white color emit white radiance. They are exquisite, wonderful, fragrant, and pure. Please think that the passage shows a difference between our view and Amida Buddha's view. Can you remember that I talked about the ignorance of the truth in this world, one of our blind passions? We tend to be ignorant of the truth in this world because we have difficulty to see everything and everyone just as they are. Because we always have our own sense of values and prejudice. Please think that our sense of values and prejudice are like the sunglasses. For example, even when seeing the white paper, we see it as black when wearing the sunglasses. Like wearing the sunglasses, we see everything with our sense of values and prejudice and say, I like this, but I don't like that. Or this is valuable, but that is not valuable. And we tend to accept the things that are convenient for us. But we reject the things that are inconvenient for us. However, Amida Buddha has a different view with us. The Buddha never sees anything with wearing the sunglasses. In other words, Amida sees them just as they are. When the Buddha sees them as they are, all of them are shining. That's why Amida Sutra says that the Buddha sees all the lotus flowers in the parent emitting radiance. As well as the flowers, Amida Buddha sees all beings and all things are shining too. It means that the Buddha sees all things and all beings in this world are precious and valuable. In this country, many ethnic groups are living together, and many race problems, discrimination, and many terrible incidents have been occurred recently. I think it is because of our ignorance of the truth in this world. Unfortunately, we often see others with our prejudice. However, Amida Buddha accepts each of our character and says to us all, you are always shining. Your life is precious and valuable as it is. It's very difficult for us to have the same view with Amida, but we can learn the Buddha's view through listening to the Buddha Dharma. Amida Buddha is always watching over us all and says to each of us, you are shining like the lotus flowers in the parent. You are wonderful as you are. Let us live in our daily lives listening to the Buddha's compassionate view. Now we are having the difficult situation due to the COVID-19. But let us get through this situation through listening to Amida Buddha's teachings. Today, I talked that Amida Buddha is always working to let the beautiful lotus flower bloom in our blind passions. Also, the Buddha sees all of us are shining, precious, and valuable, like the lotus flowers in the Pure Land. Thank you very much for listening to this message. Thank you so much. In closing, let us recite the Onen Butsu or Namo Amida Butsu. Let us put our hands together in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandab, 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 Namandab.